President Trump has identified several critical industries that we let get away from us. We have to have a steel industry. We have to have an aluminum industry. He wants to bring back manufacturing to the United States. And we are putting these tariffs on.
Are these stacked tariffs when it comes to aluminum and steel? In other words, if you've got 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel, and then you've got reciprocal tariffs coming, is that going to be stacked on top of the 25% aluminum and steel? I
will have a better sense as we get closer to April 2nd. Okay. They could be stacked.
And that's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent with me on this program on Tuesday on the president's reciprocal tariffs, which are coming on April 2nd. The president focused on boosting domestic production while closing 2018 loopholes, which allowed foreign countries to avoid previous Trump-era tariffs in some ways. Joining me now is the CEO of Century Aluminum, Jesse Gary. Century focuses on producing primary aluminum with operations here at home and in Iceland. Jesse, great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. We are awaiting the president's reciprocal tariffs to take effect on April 2nd, but we've already seen the tariffs on steel and aluminums take effect. How are those tariffs affecting your business?
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Maria. These tariffs are very important for our business. It gives us an opportunity to start reinvesting here in the United States. When the tariffs first went into place back in 2018, Century invested and became the largest producer of aluminum in the United States. And these actions this year from the president will allow us to start reinvesting again, and we've announced that we're going to build the first new aluminum smelter to be built in the United States in 45 years.
Well, this is huge news, Jesse, okay? All we hear about are the globalists upset about these tariffs. And when you look at your company, such an important aluminum company, you actually, as a result of these tariffs, have been able to build your smelter, and you're going to be investing in America for the first time in 50 years. Tell us about the impact of that smelter. How many jobs do you expect that would create?
Yeah, the new smelter will do several things. It will double the size of the domestic industry. That new smelter alone will double the size of what we have today in the U.S. industry, add 1,000 new jobs, direct jobs, and over 6,000 jobs during construction. So huge impact from a single new smelter.
And, you know, we talk about the economic impact of these tariffs, but there's also a national security impact as a result of what we're seeing out there. Give us your sense on the national security as well as economic security impact here of these tariffs.
Well, I think you had Secretary Bessent on in the lead up here, and you heard him speak about the importance of a steel industry, the importance of aluminum industry. And it's true. You can't build a fighter jet without aluminum. You can't build an automobile without aluminum. You can't transmit electricity on our grid without aluminum. It's truly fundamental to everyday American life. And what's happened over time is, as some of these policies have been put in place, some of these free trade agreements, adding China to the WTO, you've created an environment where manufacturing has been incentivized to leave the U.S., and these critical industries that enable us to produce what we need for modern American life have left. And what the new tariffs will allow is for us to start reinvesting, bringing these industries back to the U.S., and also importantly, bringing these jobs back to the U.S., creating these jobs that create a middle-class lifestyle here in the U.S.
See, this is really important, and this is why I constantly mention the national security issues around this, because I believe President Trump is looking at most issues in front of him through a national security lens. And he is not going to allow America to be vulnerable to China when it comes to prescription drugs, or to Taiwan when it comes to advanced semiconductor chips, or to any other country when it comes to aluminum. Now, you just told us that you're building America's first new aluminum smelter in 50 years. The state-of-the-art equipment will generate jobs. It will help bring investment into American manufacturing. But, Jesse, tell me what happened when other countries were dumping cheap aluminum and steel into America, what that did to your business.
Absolutely. And you mentioned China, Maria, and for sure they've been the largest perpetrator of this sort of dumping. But what also happens is when other countries are exempted from the tariff regime, you get two things. One, China will reroute their aluminum through those countries, maybe transform it into those countries and then send it into the U.S., or you actually incentivize new aluminum production to be built in those exempted countries. So what happened back following 2018 was, as other countries were exempted from the tariff program, you actually started to see aluminum production increase in those exempted countries rather than here at home. So what's really important about this time around is the administration and the president has been quite clear. There'll be no exemptions and no exceptions to the program.
What do you think this is going to mean? I'm sorry, pardon me. What do you think this is going to mean for pricing of aluminum, Jesse? What are you expecting in terms of prices?
We don't expect that it'll have a material impact on pricing at all. In fact, if you go back to 2018 and look at what happened, we didn't see any inflationary impact from the steel and aluminum tariffs. There have been a number of econometric studies that have been done following those tariffs, and they showed no impact. In fact, what you saw instead was investment here at home, new jobs here at home, and increase in production here at home. And that's, I think, exactly what the administration wants, and it's also exactly what Century stands ready to provide.
So why do you think there's such hysteria over President Trump's tariffs then?
Well, I think this has just been a talking point that we've seen time and time again. I think people have forgotten about the importance of American manufacturing. But I can tell you that when you look at the towns, if you take a trip down the Ohio River, for example, and look at some of those towns that have been hollowed out by these policies over the past 25 years, those people are very much in favor of these tariffs. Those people are very much in favor of bringing back American jobs. And again, I think these tariffs will allow U.S. manufacturing to come back, for those towns to be rebuilt, for those jobs to be recreated, and for those communities to really benefit.
And these are long-term projects that you're talking about. For example, when you begin the production on this new smelter, how long will that take? I mean, what kind of a multi-year investment is this, Jesse?
Yeah, so we're going as fast as we can to get that new smelter built, but that new smelter will operate for at least 50 years. And so as it's put into these communities, what it does is it creates a new supply chain, a new cluster, if you will, of business development to be built around the smelters. So we'll build the smelter, and our customers will come and build around us with downstream products that will go into automobiles, that will go into building and construction, and they'll create jobs on top of our jobs. And what you get is this multiplier effect where the 1,000 jobs we'll create at our smelter will result in 5 times, 10 times the amount of jobs once it multiplies through the downstream applications of aluminum.
And those are high-paying jobs.
Absolutely. The average wage and benefit package in our smelter will be about $140,000 per year.
Yeah.
So these are jobs you can build a family around. Literally, we have generations of employees that have grown up in the smelter, that have their dad worked in the smelter, they worked in the smelter, and their daughters work in the smelter.
Wow, I love that. Jesse, you are an important voice to be heard right now. We appreciate your time this morning, sir. Thank you.